Marketing, the bane of all indie game developers. It's an all too common tale that someone had a brilliant game and they poured their heart into it, but aside from a Twitter post with 2 likes,
thanks mom, thanks dad,
they didn't do any marketing. So instead of selling 1 million copies, they only sold a few copies. Just as common is the myth that you need lots of money to do marketing. I mean, yeah, money helps, no doubt, but it is not needed. You can do video game marketing with a $0 budget. Personally, I only used $60 to market my first game, and despite that, my game ended up selling almost $130,000 within 1 year. Marketing is a broad topic and there's lots to cover. In this video, I will focus on going through all the concrete actions I took to market my game, and I will let you know if they were worth the time or not. Hopefully, this will give you some ideas for how to market your own game and what marketing activities you should focus on. Hi, my name is Auro. I'm an indie game developer and I am the creator of a game called Mortal Glory. On top of that, I also make weekly YouTube videos sharing my experiences to help you on your own game dev journey. If this sounds interesting to you, go ahead and lovingly caress that subscribe button. Before I get into it, just a quick disclaimer that I am not a marketing guru. All of what I am about to say is based on my own opinions and what I have personally experienced. You might disagree with something and that is totally fine. In fact, if you disagree with something or you have some marketing trick up your sleeve, please share it in the comments. Let's help each other out. Yeah. Okay, so marketing for indie game developers. Let's start. Contacting YouTubers and streamers. This is quite simple. Send a free key to a video creator and hope they like the game enough to make a video about it. These can be review videos, commentary videos, gameplay videos, or some other types of videos. This is what I consider the best way of doing marketing as an indie game developer. If I could only choose one type of marketing activity to do, it would be this one, 100%. You can do it either manually or through different services. Personally, I did most of it manually, but on top of that, I also paid $60 for 1 month of premium membership on Woovit. This was the only money I used for marketing. I think that money was well spent and using Woovit was very effective in reaching creators. That said, I still think reaching out to creators manually is the most effective way to do it. But the downside of that is that it's very time consuming. If you want to optimize your use of time, I would go with Woovit or some other similar service. I also tried the free versions of Keymailer and Indieboost, but I didn't find much success with them. I can't comment though how useful the paid versions of those sites would have been. I could say a lot more about this form of marketing, but maybe it's better I don't spend the rest of the video on that. Let me know if you'd like me to make a separate video about this subject. The verdict for contacting YouTubers and streamers is highly recommended. Contacting journalists, getting on the front page of a prominent gaming news site might have been the wet dream for an indie game developer before, but with decreasing readership numbers and the rise of alternative sources for news and entertainment, the influence of both print and digital media has declined. Getting your game featured on one of the top sites will still give you a visibility boost, but the actual effect on sales might be disappointing if your expectations are not kept in check. Contacting journalists and gaming sites is easy though, so you should do it. But prepare for the likely outcome that you won't get a response back, and even if they do decide to write about your game, you should not expect it to turn your game into a hit. My opinion is that you should rather prioritize contacting YouTubers and streamers. You are more likely to get a response from them and it is likely to have a bigger impact on your sales. Around the time of release for my game, I personally contacted 16 publications of different sizes. 3 of them responded back and ended up featuring the game. Of those, 2 were quite small publications, but the third one was the biggest digital media site in my country. I just checked and the week they published that article, I got around 50 more sales from Finland than the week before that. So it did have an effect, but nothing earth-shattering. Of course, this was a general news site. The impact from a site dedicated to gaming is sure to be bigger. The verdict for contacting journalists is recommended, but not the highest priority. Setting up a Steam page. Let's assume your game will be on Steam because, well, most indie games are. When you have created a Steam page, Steam will occasionally show it to people who might be interested in your game. Those people might then wishlist your game. This is a passive boost on top of your other marketing efforts. You'll need to create a Steam page anyway to sell your game there, so you get this extra marketing bonus without any additional effort. Having a Steam page also allows you to have a place where you can direct potential customers to and where they can express their interest towards your game through wishlisting. So, you should get your Steam page up ASAP to start utilizing these benefits. The verdict for setting up a Steam page is highly recommended. This should be your top priority. Press release distribution sites. After I released my game, I sent a press release through prlog.org and gamespress.com. From what I can tell, it's a waste of time. At least if you are an unknown indie game. It doesn't take much time though, so maybe you could try writing a really creative off-the-wall press release and see if somebody jumps on it. But I would recommend saving your time for something else. Sending your press release directly to journalists is probably much more effective. The verdict for press release distribution sites is not recommended. Mailing list. As I see it, this is more for enabling future marketing. Setting up a mailing list with services like MailChimp is easy and free. Mailing lists can be a great way to reach your most loyal fans, and they are considered a very effective form of marketing by many. But on the flip side, expanding your mailing list and producing content for it can be a lot of work, unless producing written content is your strong suit. If you are just making your first game, I wouldn't stress about creating a mailing list. Maybe, if you have a spare evening at some point, you could create a simple mailing list and slap the form on your website. But aside from a few diehard fans, you won't get many people to join your list unless you have something to offer them. Google for lead magnet if you want to get ideas for this. Personally, I have a mailing list for my studio, and on my website there's a short form to join it. When I was about to release my DLC, I had a giveaway which resulted in almost 100 people joining the list. But otherwise, I haven't pushed it anywhere and only a few people join it now and then. I haven't used the list much so far. I did send a notification about the DLC release, and I did use it to share Mortal Glory comics that a friend of mine made. So marketing-wise, I would say that the impact has been very minimal, but I definitely do see the long-term potential in it. The verdict for mailing list is recommended, but not a priority. Then, let's move on to social media. Twitter. Posting on Twitter is probably the most commonly used marketing method by indie developers. By using hashtags such as indie games and indie dev, you can get your post in front of potential customers and people with similar interests. With Twitter, there's potential for great marketing success with relatively low effort. Twitter is best suited for quick-to-consume content like GIFs. You can use tools like EasyGIF to quickly churn out GIFs of your game and then keep dropping them on Twitter from time to time. But honestly, I feel like Twitter is better at reaching your current customers than new customers. Also, most of the people liking your tweets are usually fellow developers instead of your target audience, the players. But still, using Twitter is so easy that there's no reason not to give it a try. The verdict for Twitter is recommended. Reddit. Reddit is the best at turning hobbies into careers. It's not hard to find people who have had their lives changed overnight by a viral Reddit post reaching the front page. Having a viral post can also get you into Reddit's good graces, leading to people automatically upvoting your posts and making it easier for you to get visibility and additional viral posts. Posting on Reddit can be a bit tricky though. You will need to maneuver varying subreddit rules, overzealous auto-moderators, and idealistic guidelines on self-promotion. After all this, many times your post will get zero traction. When posting on Reddit, you really want to avoid sounding like you're doing marketing, as that is the easiest way to ensure that the only traction your post will get is that one single downvote, leading to your post getting buried with minimum visibility. The best way to use Reddit is to become part of the community. This will allow you to get a good feel for the place and what kind of posts get visibility. I have had some successes on Reddit, but I still have a lot to learn as most of my posts get buried quite fast. But I would advise for you to experiment with Reddit. Even if most of your posts end up with zero upvotes, the potential upside is worth the effort. The verdict for Reddit is recommended. Imgur. Imgur is like a visual, more lighthearted version of Reddit. If your game has good GIF potential, you will probably do fairly well on Imgur. I have a funny personal story about Imgur. When I released my game and it started trending on Steam, I decided I would make a quick Reddit post about it to share my excitement. Back then, I didn't realize I could upload my pictures straight to Reddit, so I figured I'll go upload them to Imgur, just so I could have an image album somewhere that I could then post on Reddit. I wasn't very familiar with Imgur, so I just quickly filled the details and submitted the post. My Reddit post ended up doing very poorly, but the Imgur post that I was going to use just as a means to an end, it ended up going viral on the site and it gathered over 100,000 views. Wow, talk about unexpected. My game was already doing great at that point, but I'm sure I got some nice extra traction from just that one Imgur post. The verdict for Imgur is recommended. Tumblr. I tried it, but I didn't get it. I think my problem was that I tried it with the minimal effort approach by just posting GIFs there like I would on Twitter or Imgur. I later read somewhere that Tumblr is more used for short-form blog-style content, but I haven't heard of any major marketing successes with Tumblr in regards to indie games. To me, it seems like the community there in general doesn't seem that interested in indie games. Maybe someone can prove me wrong on that, but based on my personal experience, my recommendation would be to skip Tumblr. The verdict for Tumblr is not recommended. These are all the different forms of marketing I have tried. Basically, my advice can be summed up quickly. Make a Steam page ASAP, post on social media, and get YouTubers to play your game. I consider those to be the most effective forms of marketing for indie game developers. And best of all, they can all be done for free. There are also a lot of different forms of marketing that I haven't tried. For example, creating a demo of your game, streaming the game yourself, showing your game in local events, participating in gaming conventions, running paid ads, and so on. I won't comment on those as I haven't tried them myself. Well, maybe one comment on paid ads. Don't do them if you're tight on money and are not familiar with how paid ads work. Based on everything I have read, they function really poorly for small indie games. In general though, my recommendation would be to try everything if you have the time and energy for it. You never know what will work best for you. Marketing can be really time consuming and exhausting though, so if you're feeling overburdened or short on time, don't overcommit and just focus on the few key channels that seem to work the best for you. But that's all for now. Leave a like if you found this video helpful and let me know in the comments if you have some creative marketing tricks in your mind. Alright, thanks for watching and see you on the next one.